This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim. Look,
5 police officers later died.
That's right.
Some of them from because of the demoralizing force of seeing themselves attacked by other Americans.
Yeah.
Justify all Joe Biden's pardons? Does that justify all Joe Biden's pardons? Murderers, rapists, Fauci, Milley, Biden crime family? Get some therapy.
That's
you
my
are
concern.
The top personality at ESPN. That is not me complimenting you. It's a fact. You are number one.
Yes.
Did you get there because of DEI?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope all's good wherever you are. In this video, Congressman Tim Burchett actually annihilates Acosta, which is the best clip that I have here for today. But there's a bunch of wacky ones. The absolute hypocrites on The View going on about the rule of law. Marjorie Taylor Greene dropping facts. Stephen A. gets fact-checked on DEI. And also a woke ABC News channel in Chicago telling migrants to know their rights and to not open the door for ICE. You can't make this stuff up. Only in 2025. Let's get it going with Jim Acosta.
Do you agree with President Trump's decision to pardon these violent people and releasing them from jail?
if they were truly violent, no. But do I know that they were? I don't know that.
What do you mean you don't know that? We're showing the footage on the air right now. Congressman, you were there that day. There are offenders on January 6th who violently beat police officers. There are offenders who are convicted of seditious conspiracy. That is the truth.
This is a political world, Jim, and I don't remember you all on CNN condemning Joe Biden for commuting the sentences of murderers and child molesters, which he did, and you all
Congressman, I'm not asking you about that. Congressman, we have talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
You never do,
Congressman,
Jim.
we did talk about it. We talked about Joe Biden's pardons.
Oh, Jim, you did not. You all read your report from the Democrat National Committee, as you always do, and you attack Americans.
False. Congressman, are you going to respond and say whether or not it is right to let these people out of jail?
I don't know if it is or not. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll tell you what isn't right.
You're a congressman. You're a member of Congress. You're an elected official. Take a stand.
They were not given due process. I told you if they crossed the line, they were trespassers. Should they rot in jail for the rest of their lives in a federal penitentiary and never be charged?
Beating police officer, tasing police officers,
Jim,
seditious conspiracy.
What you're forgetting to say is the ones that he didn't release. Why did he not release those? There are several that he did. This blanket thing you're all talking about is not a blanket. It's not a blanket pardon. There were several that he didn't for those very same reasons. Why are you not focusing on them?
Congressman, we're talking about the leader of the Oath Keepers, the leader of the Proud Boys. They should be released from prison?
What about the leader of the FBI? What about the FBI agents that were on the grounds, that were in that mess?
Congressman,
that were helping
the leader of the FBI
that?
was not rioting at the Capitol that day and beating up police officers. This is not Fox, Congressman. You can't just spin a tail and pull the wool over people's eyes.
Yeah.
This is CNN. This is the news. We are asking you to come on and tell the truth.
And that's why more people are watching the Cartoon Network SpongeBob reruns right now, Jim. Look, I left the White House during a riot. My life was threatened. My life has been threatened within the last few weeks, yet there's no coverage of that. And you all continue this narrative of attacking Trump. You just can't stand the fact that he won and that America spoke.
Congressman,
and that your view is very diminished.
Does the Republican Party, Trump and his cohorts, do they need to make up their mind? Are they pro-police or not?
I think that the more important part here is not just police. It's, do we enforce our laws and punish people who have committed crimes, or do we not?
140 police officers were injured. Some had, one had an eye gouged out. Yeah. One had fingers cut off. They had spinal issues. They had heart attacks. 5 police officers later died.
That's right.
Some of them from suicide, because of the demoralizing force of seeing themselves attacked by other Americans. Yeah. And so imagine what police officers who stood up that day are feeling today, knowing that the President of the United States does not have their back, He's got the back of his supporters who attacked them, who caused the death of some of their colleagues. This is outrageous. And I don't care how pro-Trump you are. I don't care how Republican you are. You have a choice. This is not about right and left. This is about right and wrong.
Yeah. One of the worst side effects of the Trump era is that because Donald Trump does so many things that are bad, we start to then say, well, other things aren't as bad that other politicians do because Donald Trump did something worse. And what happens is it becomes a race to the bottom.
He lost 2 children.
And I've said
if you don't mind just smashing that thumbs up button for your boy, that really goes a long way into helping me out. And also, if this is not your first time here and you're not yet subscribed, hopefully this will be the video in which I can earn your subscription. Let's keep going. Yeah.
To be in the position and not protect the one child that he has.
Why his brother, his brother's wife, his sister, his sister's husband.
He's facing an abnormal president. He's facing someone
one question I have
who
is
on a vengeance tour.
Knowing what Donald Trump is capable of and what he has said he'd do, a part of me wonders if, even at the expense of weakening it, I would say at least protect my family.
You know what's really appalling, and you know what's very scary though is that he's doing this. Joe Biden did that on the last day. Trump is doing this on day 1. We have 4.
Told us he was
but we have. And let me just say this: we have 4 years left of this, and the reason he's doing it is because he can.
Right.
Because there are no guardrails.
There's no whataboutism. This was just despicable that he would pardon these violent offenders. But I also want to have the conversation about the Joe Biden pardons. I think that it does matter. If we're living in a country where the rule of law matters, where no one is above the law, and where the precedents and the norms that we set matter and our institutions matter, I do think it warrants more scrutiny and more discussion. And there's a reason that even Democrats today are condemning the fact that Joe Biden, despite saying he would not pardon Hunter and he would not pardon his family, and condemning Donald Trump for considering blanket pardons the last term, then went in the final moments of his presidency and did it. That does damage to our democracy. And if we keep lowering the bar...
Joe Biden lost 2 other children.
So the counter, and I see that perspective, the counter to it, at the end of Donald Trump's first term, Matt Gaetz, Rudy Giuliani, and others allegedly asked for blanket pardons, and he actually declined to give them. Donald Trump stuck to some norms and didn't. He pardoned some other folks like Roger Stone. Now this gives him
like Jared's father,
who did serve time, though.
Yeah.
He gave any future precedent they can point to, directing staff and family members to commit crimes, and you will get a blanket pardon. It is saying...
She actually tried to blame people who committed suicide on January 6th. You can't make this stuff up. If that's the worst thing you see as a police officer, you had a good run in your career. These are some of the biggest hypocrites on TV. They talk about the laws and breaking the laws, and at the same time, they're fine with a bunch of illegals coming into the country, which is an illegal act. But they're fine with that. As long as it fits their narrative, they're okay with it. See, those who hurt police officers, the J6ers, I'm not for that, but they serve time, right? They've done 3 to 4 years. Seems to me like that would be enough time for that. And a lot of these people that were in jail or have been in jail have no charges brought to them. They've just been sitting there. This is unbelievable. And they talk about the pardons. Now, Trump in his first term could have pardoned a bunch of people on the way out. Matt Gaetz, Rudy Giuliani. They had asked for blanket pardons, some of them. And Trump declined to give it to them because he said we didn't do anything wrong. And when she said, well, Trump did this in the first day in office, yeah, he ran on that. People elected him because of that. People knew it was unfair. America's had enough of the BS, and they voted for him. Trump did more in his first day in office than Biden did in 3 or 4 years.
Oh, I'm thrilled with President Trump, and I'm very thankful to him. You know, over 95% of Antifa BLM rioters were never prosecuted. They never served time in prison. And many of these communities that were burned to the ground, BLM never donated that money to help build those communities back. President Trump did the right thing in pardoning them, while Joe Biden pardoned his crime family, pardoned Fauci, pardoned Milley, pardoned January 6th committee members, pardoned rapists, murderers. That's what you should be focused on. Because I'll tell you what, you guys, the American people are sick and tired of everyone's hyper-focus up here in Washington, freaking out about a day where there was a 3-hour riot and a lot of people walked through open doors in the Capitol. They don't give a damn about January 6th. They're happy these people have their lives back. You know what people care about? Border security, the economy, jobs. They care about, they're sick and tired of the foreign wars. That's what people care about outside of this city. So the hyper-focus by the media on January 6th needs to end, because I'm hearing from people at home, I hear from people all over, they think you're pathetic because that's all you talk about. They think you're disconnected with the American people, and they think you don't understand it. So everybody needs to put their big boy pants and big girl pants on and move on and actually care about what the American people care about, and it's not January 6th, okay?
For some of the rioters, though, who engaged in violence with the police, fought against the police, there was a stun gun incident as well. I mean, should there be accountability there?
Is that the same as like the murderer that like murdered an 11-month-old child and murdered a young woman that Joe Biden pardoned? Is that the same thing? A stun gun and a young woman and a baby that was killed? So why don't you do apples to apples instead of creating this like whole thing about how terrible this is? Again, get over it. I hope these January 6th defendants move on with their lives. I hope that they are able to be happy, because I tell you what, they've suffered enough, and that's the reality.
But is there ever an excuse for assaulting a police officer?
You tell me. Antifa and BLM, over 95% of them never prosecuted.
But that justifies what happens on January 6th?
Never served time in prison. Never served time in prison.
But does that justify
all Joe
Biden's
Biden's pardons? Does that justify all Joe Biden's pardons? Murderers, rapists, Fauci, Milley, Biden crime family? Get some therapy. Seriously.
Some members have said they'll do tours of the Capitol. Would you do that?
They already had a tour.
Some different perspectives coming from you. Is this something you celebrate, or are you highly concerned about the sunset of DEI?
I'm concerned about it. I certainly am not going to celebrate it, because I don't like the way I believe the right is handling this particular issue. When you talk about diversity, equity, and inclusion, the conversations that you and I have had is far different than the things that I've heard from everybody else. You ask questions and you talk about a merit-based society. That's cool. But there are others on the right that are hiding behind that verbiage to disguise how they're really coming across. When you say diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're basically trying to imply, not you, but I'm talking about some on the right, are trying to imply that everybody that got hired under DEI is that you certainly weren't competent, you weren't qualified. Well, that might be the case, or it might not be. Let's understand that we don't get to ignore why the existence of DEI came to be. It was because of the inequities in the system, the people that weren't hired before, competent individuals from minority communities throughout this country that weren't feeling like they were being treated fairly. You and I have had this discussion over the Rooney Rule in sports. Certainly, you would think that you should be able to interview whoever you want. You shouldn't be forced to interview an African-American candidate. Why did the NFL implement that policy? It implemented that policy because of inequities that were exercised by various NFL owners spanning history. All I'm saying is, let's not forget that reality, its existence. Why did it come to be to begin with? So when you eradicate the program and then you turn around, let's say, for example, hypothetically, you get rid of DEI at ESPN, or you get rid of DEI at Fox News or any place else. And then you turn around and you got 7, 8, 9 different positions, and all of them are white. You're basically implying that all of those white folks are the best candidates, and we couldn't find anybody from any different community that were competent. That's my concern.
The top personality at ESPN. That is not me complimenting you. It's a fact. You are number one. Did you get there because of DEI?
No, I don't think so. But
so
I know that
but you don't have to worry.
I think a legitimate argument can be made that my inception into this business might have played a role in that. That might have played a role. Absolutely.
But my point is, you don't have to worry. Your life is a testament to merit winning out over the necessity to prioritize skin color. You pointed out that people will be like, well, everybody that was hired over the past 5 years were beneficiaries of DEI. You know, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas talked about this. That's one of the prices of affirmative action, because some people get something that they might not have earned for their superficial characteristics. Then it's logical to look around and go, well, if you have those same characteristics and you didn't earn it, or you didn't get it for merit, did you not earn it? My point is, DEI actually undercuts people like you who earned it by merit.
And I'm saying to you, That argument can be made in some cases, and in some cases it cannot be. So the way you truly eradicate it, let's say, for example, like you just did, you want to eradicate DEI programs, and then the hiring process is revisited, and 40% of the candidates are African Americans or Latinos or a combination of the both, and 60% of them are white. Nobody's going to have a problem with that. But if 95 to 100% of them are white, from the moment that DEI is eradicated, then you're sending the message that the only reason other folks had those opportunities was because of DEI as opposed to their qualifications. And I'm saying you have to be mindful and careful of making sure that that message is not disseminated, because that's inaccurate, and history has proven that in a lot of different circumstances. That's all I'm saying.
I truly do believe in Black Americans to not just survive, but to excel in a system based upon merit. I don't think DEI is necessary. In fact, I think it is cancerous and undercuts their accomplishments.
Guys,
Chicago's immigrant community on edge tonight as Michelle Gallardo reports. Activists and elected officials are canvassing neighborhoods, letting people know their rights should ICE come knocking.
Up and down Cermak Avenue today, business after business prominently displayed the same flyer. Don't open for ICE. Little Village business owners telling us it's the least they can do.
La gente debe estar unida.
People need to stick together, no matter their immigration status, says Jose Luis Vasquez, who's owned this computer and phone repair shop for 9 years now. A few blocks away at the Little Village Arch, a handful of activists braved the sub-zero wind chills to rally against the Trump administration's stated plans to conduct mass deportation raids in Chicago.
We've been out here since 5 in the morning, educating our community, educating our people that they have rights.
Among those canvassing the neighborhood was 22nd Ward Alderperson Michael Rodriguez, who spent the morning passing out informational flyers, instructing people what to say should ICE come knocking.
Este le puede entregar a la inmigración.
There was, to be sure, little in terms of foot traffic in Little Village today. And while much of that may very well be related to the cold, there is most certainly fear. The executive director of the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights telling us their hotline has been inundated with calls.
From January 1st to January 19th, we saw 800 calls. But on January 20th alone, we saw over 400 calls.
Border Czar Tom Homan saying in an interview on Fox Business today,
the president's been clear, I've been clear, that right out of the gate, we're looking for public safety threats. ICE agents are out there doing that now.
Meanwhile, Governor Pritzker saying the number of people initially targeted, those with criminal records, might be much higher than initially believed.
We have heard that they are targeting as many as 2,000 people initially in the city of Chicago alone.
Now, while at least one of those scheduled for today was moved online due to the cold weather, Know Your Rights campaigns appear to be here to stay for the time being, with Pilsen's Perez Elementary School hosting weekly sessions every Tuesday starting next week.
Nothing's going to stop our boy Tom Homan. If you don't have a border, you don't have a country. It is time to clean this stuff up. We have 10 million people that came in illegally through the southern border in the last 4 years. When you consider that the size of Philadelphia is, 2 million people, and that's the 6th largest city in the country. You've added 5 cities of Philadelphia of people you don't know who these people are. And when you bring in that many people, you're not going to try to convince me that they're all good. 10 million people, the majority might be okay, but at the same time, they're still criminals because they came in illegally. It doesn't matter if your heart's in the right place. You can't just come into a country illegally. What about the people that have been waiting? There's a million reasons why everything about that is wrong and why you should be deported. See you later. Get your ass back home wherever you came from. And these leftoids, they try to paint it as if it's a brown thing or you're against brown people or black people. I don't care if you're a white Ukrainian illegal. Get out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Smash that thumbs up if you did. Consider subscribing to the channel. Help it grow. Catch you in the next one. Peace out, everybody.